Today, we become legends.
So a lot has changed with the Season 9 update, tons of changes to gods, loads of new items, crazy stuff happening, so we're going to start the tier list right now. So Achilles, obviously, they made his ult not an execute anymore, and it also doesn't reset, so he's kind of bad, like, maybe C tier, maybe garbage, but we'll say garbage. Agni, obviously, he can use 5 bombs now instead of 3, it's just insane, he just blows people up in team fights, secures objectives like no one's business. AMC, the hives can be destroyed from any range now, so you just fire near it and it destroys the hive. He's pretty bad. Apwash, obviously, Apwash got a movement ability now. In fact, he has 2 movement abilities. Obviously, he can teleport to his corpses now, and his ult gives him a massive speed boost when he pops it, so he's basically the safest god in the game now while having insane damage. Amaterasu, obviously, Auroras are bugged right now. Auroras are giving 300 power and like 65% movement speed. They really shouldn't be doing that. If they weren't like that, she'd obviously be in garbage tier because they recently reworked her ultimate to be just clean up to garbage in the Season 9 update. But with those auras being broken, she probably deserves to be an S+ tier, to be honest. And her, obviously, you know, Pillar Impale's difficult to hit, but the fact that they made Pillar Impale insta-kill people from 100% health like an execute is just a little bit too strong. Probably an instant win character at this point. As long as you can hit Pillar Impale, he's pretty instant win. S+ maybe if you can't hit your Pillar Impales. Anubis Ult, obviously they increased the range of Anubis Ult, so he's quite strong now. Anubis Ult can hit from basically across mid lane at this point, so it's like still a pretty strong ability. Obviously he still lacks the mobility that makes him very good, but the fact that they uncaps lifesteal and you can go over 100% lifesteal now, he just lifesteals so much, he's a little bit ridiculous. Ao Kuang for the same reason, uncapped lifesteal is just dumb, and Ao Kuang always pretty strong. Aphrodite, obviously they made her ult not immune anymore, it just absorbs up to 500 damage, so all you have to do is just keep pumping damage into Aphrodite, she's going to die eventually. Apollo, they removed the mana cap on his ult so he can stay in the air forever now, so if he wants to, he can just stay in the air and troll his teammates, which is pretty funny. But in terms of the actual character being good, he's not very good right now in Season 9. Arachne, I don't know why she's still here, they removed her from the game in Season 9 because she's a garbage character, so I guess I'll just leave her down here. They extended the duration of Ares' ultimate and also allowed him to recall while casting it, so he technically can Ares ult people, press the recall button, and then pull them all into his fountain. It's a pretty strong combo, to be honest with you. Probably not quite instant win, but I would put Ares in S+ at this point. Artemis Boar never despawns anymore. As soon as you press the boar, it just basically covers an area. If you ever go in that area for the rest of the entire game, you're just going to get stunned, so like pretty powerful. If an Artemis can get to late game and she's ulted about 15 times throughout the course of the match, most of the map is going to be covered by boars and you really just can't move, so probably instant win. RTO, once again, like Arachne, she was removed from the game through like mid-season 8 or something like that, so I don't know why she's still on this tier list really, but I'm using someone else's template, so we'll put her down here for now. Athena, they made it so she can ult herself, so like more useful in duel and like still pretty good. Obviously the taunt is still really good for Athena, but really the fact that she can ult herself kind of brings her up a little bit. We'll put her in S tier for now. Willix can knock up from any angle, pretty strong. She can mount Suku, it doesn't cost mana anymore, also really good. She can feather step, which actually knocks up now. You can feather step into ult, pull people. It's pretty strong, honestly. But I wouldn't say she's on the level of some of these things with like Amaterasu with her broken like 65% movement speed aura and like the uncapped lifesteal Anubis. She's probably not that broken, so maybe we'll put her in S tier. So to make Baba Yaga a little bit more realistic, they did make it so if you drop the house on someone, they instantly get killed, because obviously that would happen in real life, so it's actually pretty strong. Whether or not it's an instant win, I don't know, because the AoE of dropping the house on someone isn't huge. You can't really kill an entire team by doing that, but it's still very strong to be able to just blink in, drop the house on their tank, and insta-kill them. Bacchus, obviously, they gave him a new first ability where it's basically a second belly flop, and they removed the idea of like having to actually drink to get your Chogo meter. You're just full all the time, because, you know, he's a big fat drunk. So he's actually pretty strong right now. They obviously upped the damage on the ult as well. The ult hits like as hard as three mage ults now at this point. So yeah, pretty instant win character, I would say. Bagasura also removed from the game, so we'll put him in garbage. Baron Samedi, obviously he can now suck across the entire map. The ult now has infinite range. It's not going to necessarily pull you all the way in from infinite range, because it does still have a max duration, though they did up that to like 10 seconds. So basically, if you're on like solo lane and Baron Samedi ults in duo lane, there's a good chance you're getting pulled across most of the map and put into his coffin, so he is quite strong right now. I think I would go with S+. Bastet, they're going to rework her pretty soon. Obviously, they said they were going to rework Bastet a while ago, but they still haven't done it, even though it's Season 9 at this point, so we'll put her in C tier because she is pretty garbage. Bellona, obviously, for Season 9, they reverted Bellona to her release form, so I think we have to put her in an instant win category. Release Bellona was very strong, and she's basically that way now, so we're going to have to leave her there. Cabrakan, similar to Apollo, actually, they made it so his 3 doesn't cost mana and also has an infinite duration now, so you could basically just sit there pressing 3 on the waves Cabrakan and you have infinite wave clear, so he is quite strong right now. We've got a few gods here that really haven't received any changes, so we'll just place these whereabouts they kind of should be for the Season 9 patch, you know, where they were around the end of Season 8. We get to Cthulhu, though. Cthulhu had some very interesting changes in Season 9. Obviously, they made it so that if you're insane, instead of seeing like hallucinations, the hallucinations actually become real. So if you have people that are on the enemy team that are hearing like Loki going on them, you actually summon an extra Loki on your team and it kills people. It's actually quite strong. I've played the Season 9 PTS with Cthulhu. He does seem very good right now. So we'll drop him in S+. Cucullin, obviously they removed the rage mechanic entirely. He can now just transform into rage whenever he wants to, so he is quite strong right now. We'll probably go with S+. I wouldn't say he's quite an instant win character. Cupid, obviously they removed Heart Bomb and replaced it with some garbage, and that was the only reason to play Cupid, so we'll leave him in C tier. Daji, C tier again, like just a really kind of bad god to be honest. Danzaboro, same thing. Discordia though, pretty interesting. They made it so that the apple has infinite range like a Persephone ult, so basically you fire the apple and it keeps bouncing around the map until it finds a target. Which is pretty strong, so like even if you miss your Discordio, at some point it's going to come back and hit someone in a team fight, which is very good in my opinion. Like similar to the Artemis changes where you just have balls all over the map. Eventually, if you miss enough Discordio rolls, which all these fucking idiots will do, you're going to end up with like 6 apples just bouncing around the map, and you're going to have to dodge those. And in a team fight, if you get hit by a couple of those apples that have been like fired at 5 minutes in the game and it's now 25 minutes, it's going to hurt. So we'll probably put her in S+. Erlang Shen, obviously they made it so he actually has 72 transformations now, so he has like an absolute unlimited pool of options. You're really never going to be able to play around Erlang Shen that well because he has so many different animals to transform into, and obviously Erlang Shen's still really strong. We'll put him in S+. Fafnir, yeah, speaking of Fafnir, actually, one of Erlang Shen's 72 transformations turns him into Fafnir's dragon form, so, like, maybe we should probably put Erlang Shen in S+, because that's really strong. Fafnir, by comparison, you know, the Erlang can just press 3 and go into dragon form. Fafnir has an ultimate that's on quite a long cooldown, but Fafnir is still pretty good. I would say, like, an S+, an S placement, maybe even an A placement. We'll go with A for now. I don't think he's quite as strong as, like, the buff to Wheelix or the buff to Athena, where she can ult herself and things like that. Fenrir, so a similar treatment actually. They made Fenrir's ult have unlimited duration, so if you ult as Fenrir, you just have like a million protections forever, and you're eventually going to be able to bite someone and do some work with that, so probably like an S placement for Fenrir now, I would say. Freya, so Freya's 2 and 1 are now just permanently active. You don't have to use mana on them, they don't have a cooldown, so like she's just shredding people like nobody's business, and the uncatched lifesteal, as I mentioned with Anubis, is really good for Freya as well. Ganesha, so they make Ganesha's silence affect the entire map, so as soon as you start casting it, everyone's silence. It's really strong, to be honest. I wouldn't call it instant win. It's not as strong as like Release Bellona or Artemis summoning infinite balls or 5 bombs Agni, but it's still pretty strong. I would definitely say an S+ placement for Ganesha. Geb, they reverted Geb's shield so that it now scales with his max health again, but for some reason they made it scale with 40% of his max health, so now you're going to be shielding your allies for well over 1,000. He's very strong. I think we probably do place him in S+, to be honest. Guan Yu, once again, similar to Bellona, they reverted Guan Yu to his original release, so he's now a Guardian again in Season 9. Some really strong tools, obviously. No cooldown on his 1 and his 2. The 3 doing like 3,000 damage, the ult doing like 5,000 damage and stunning people for 2 seconds. It's really strong. Hachiman, no real changes, we'll leave him in A tier. Hades though, Hades had some very interesting changes in Season 9. So they made it so his 2 fears regardless of having blight on you, so basically you're going to get feared all the time. And they also made it so that the fear makes you, instead of running away from Hades, it makes you run towards your own minions. So like you're running towards your minions to like, you know, get support from them. You're like, oh, I'm so scared of Hades, minions, save me please. And then, yeah, basically it fears you into your own minions, and then Hades presses 3 and you immediately die, because that's just Hades, even before Season 9 buffs. So, yeah, Hades still really strong, honestly. The fact that he can just fear you into your own wave and blow you up, it just makes him completely unstoppable. Hebo, instant win. No changes in Season 9, but it's Hebo, so instant win anyway. Same thing with Haim, actually, just instant win, really. Hell, they finally made Hell's Light Stance 1 homing, so no more your teammates juking your Light Stance 1, but that's the only change she got, so we'll leave her in A tier. Hera, so they actually removed Hera's entire kit and just made Hera into Argus, so this portrait is a little outdated here. This really should be just Argus. You don't really use Hera anymore. All you do with Hera really is you hit level 5. As soon as you ult in Season 9 with Hera, you just immediately become Argus for the rest of the game, so this portrait's like a little inaccurate, I guess, but we'll probably put her in S tier. Being Argus all the time and still being able to use Hera's abilities, you know, use your arms as Argus to crush people, things like that, is quite strong. Hercules 3, they made it restore a percentage of the damage you take, but that percentage increases the more damage you take. So, like, if you've taken 1,000 damage, you restore 1,000% of the damage that you took. So, basically, if you start taking a lot of damage with Hercules, it gets a bit ridiculous, and you do heal your full health bar every time you press 3. So, probably an instant win, I would say. You know, Hercules' damage is still ridiculous, and he's practically immortal now. They made Horus invincible while channeling his ult now, which is pretty strong. Definitely a nice buff for him in Season 9, but I think we'll just leave him in A tier for now. He's not incredibly strong in the new season, just by comparison of like some of these ridiculous buffed characters up here. Who you got the same treatment as Discordia, in that Ricochet will just continually bounce off walls forever until it hits a god, and then hits a god 3 times, obviously. It has 3 hits, so basically if you fire this into the jungle, it's going to bounce around the jungle for like maybe 25 hits on walls. Maybe it'll arrive in mid lane if you fired it from duo lane, and then it'll just one-shot the mid laner because it's going to have like 25 times bonus damage because of how many walls it bounced off of. It's kind of ridiculous. It does take a little bit of skill. There's going to be a lot that goes into sort of lining up 25x bounces through the jungle to hit the mid laner. But I think if you do have the skill for it, it's kind of like Anna. It's really just an instant win if you have the skill for it. Like, if you can line up those 25x towards the mid lane in the early game, you're just going to one-shot the enemy mid laner and your mid gets super fed from that. It's pretty strong, I would say. So with Iset, they renamed her and then everyone complained, so they were like, fuck this, we're just going to remove her from the game, so we're going to have to put her in garbage tier. Obviously, she's no longer in the game in Season 9. Izanami, garbage character. They removed her from the game end of Season 8, so we're going to leave her there. Giannis, they continued to buff Giannis after Season 8, obviously, as you know. But by the time we got around to Season 9, Giannis had received so many ridiculous buffs that he was, like, definitely S+ tier. Jingwei, so we all know Jingwei, like, before Season 9, like, for most of her life cycle in Smite, she's been a really safe ADC where you can just back and restore your health and buy items and stuff, like, very easily because she can just fly back to lane. With Season 9, they kind of went all in on that concept, and they've just made it so that she constantly has a fountain healing effect on her and she can buy items from anywhere on the map. So you don't really even have to back anymore. Like, her passive is just like you can buy items from anywhere. Not even like Chang'e, you buy them instantly, by the way, so it is quite strong, and she obviously has that infinite fountain healing, like, constantly, which, by the way, fountain healing can't be anti-healed, so even if you buy anti-heal against Jingwei, she's probably still going to fuck you up. I think she's probably an instant win character, really. I'm not sure what fountain healing is, but it's a lot of your health per second, and it's obviously completely can't be countered by anti-heal, so it's very strong. Yorm, much like Agni, got 5 hits of his ult instead of 3, but it's not quite as strong as it was with Agni, but I would still call Yorm like an S+ character in Season 9. He does seem very strong. Kali actually got a similar treatment. They seem to like the 3s going to 5s in the Season 9 patch. Kali has 5 blades on Lash now, so once you get that maxed out, it's hitting for well over 1.5k damage at level 9. It's kind of a bit ridiculous, I would say. Kali basically has tons of early game now, and then once she gets to late game, they obviously extended the duration of her ult to whenever you get a kill, it extends the duration of the ult by 5 seconds. So if you just pop your ult in a fight, you get low, you get a kill, it resets, you get full health, and then your ult extends another 5 seconds. So you can run through entire teams very easily with Kali now. And the fact that she has so much insane early game is a bit ridiculous. I wouldn't say she's an instant win because you can still shut her down early game, sort of, if she doesn't know how to use Lash properly, but she's very close to being an instant win character in Season 9. Kepriel, once again, there seems to be a theme with them extending durations or making, like, removing durations entirely. Kepriel in Season 9, if you put Kepriel on someone, it'll stay there until they die. It never expires. So basically, at some point, you're going to have to kill that person that's Keprielted. And if, like, you're just playing a passive early game with Kepri, you just put one ult on each teammate, and then by the time you get to, like, a big, important Gold Fury or Fire Giant fight, you basically have an extra life on every single teammate because your Kepri ults haven't expired. I would argue it's instant win, to be completely honest with you. Like, the fact that you can just have a Fire Giant fight and all 5 people can have a permanent Kepriel is kind of pretty strong. King Arthur, so obviously they gave King Arthur 2 extra stances now, so he has effectively 16 abilities to use. Different ults in each stance. Obviously, he rotates between stances, so you go from blue stance to orange stance to yellow stance to red stance, and you just keep rotating through those. You never run out of abilities, and obviously they reworked Clad Shield into its old form now, but made it a bit cheaper. So King Arthur very strong right now. I wouldn't say instant win. He's not on the level of broken of some of the characters up here, but he's very strong in the new season. Kukulkan, not much change. We'll leave him in B. Kumbhakarna, obviously Kumbhakarna is bugged right now, so if you don't kill them with the Kumbhakarna, they stay banished in the air for the rest of the game. So you can really exploit this, and I would put him in instant win until this bug is fixed, because really all you need to do is use 5 Kumbhakarna on people that you won't kill with the Kumbhakarna, and then the entire team is banished for the rest of the game, and you can do whatever you want. It's pretty unfun, I would say, but it is a bug. They have announced it's a bug, and it probably will be fixed probably about 5 patches into Season 9. That's typically when they fix these kind of bugs. Kuzenbo, so obviously they increased Kuzenbo's reflect damage to 2 times the damage he's taking, so basically it's impossible to kill Kuzenbo if he ever presses 2 now. It's very strong. Also, the washing machine made it like a proper knock-up. Before Season 9, Kuzenbo washing machine was like kind of mini knock-ups. Now it like full-on knocks you up like a Bacchus belly flop every single time he hits you with this, so it's got insane displacement. They also removed the Nene Kappa limit, so if you do have enough cooldown, which by the way, they increased the Shell Spike's cooldown reduction. If you ever get hit by anything, it immediately resets the cooldowns on his dash and his Nene Kappa instead of just reducing them. So, and the fact that they removed the Nene Kappa limit in combination with that buff, you just have like 6 Nenes out in one fight. It's a little bit ridiculous. I think we probably put him in instant win, to be completely honest with you. He's very strong. I would say he's like lesser instant win than some of these other characters like Kumba and Kepri and Agni and stuff, but he's still very kind of instant win, really. Loki, so people still complain throughout like all of Season 8 about Loki, even though they reworked him, so they eventually just removed him from the game. We'll put him in garbage tier. Medusa is still in C tier, still garbage. Mercury, they actually removed 2 movement speed from him, so he's not the fastest god in the game now, so I think we'd probably put him in garbage tier. I mean, the fact that he's like 1 movement speed below the mana again, it kind of makes him unplayable, really. Merlin, similar to Arthur, he now has access to 6 stances instead of 3, and really with Merlin now you just have like a stance for every single situation you could possibly want. Some of the stances have extra movement now, so you can't even burn his blink and then like run him down because he just swaps to like one of the new stances and uses the movement ability from that or like pushes you away. He has like so many options now that I think he's bordering on instant win, but he does still take some skill to manage that many stances and be in the correct stance for the correct situation, so I would say probably S+ for Merlin. Mulan, so we saw some buffs for Mulan in early Season 8. They continued that throughout the season, as you know. They buffed Mulan in basically every single patch to the point where her damage numbers are just absolutely ridiculous. Her 2, like, half hits you, and then by the time she ranks it up and gets a double hit, it's full hitting you, so it's arguable whether you want to put her in instant win or S+, but I'll leave her S+ for now. Nejal, so yeah, they basically turned Nejal into an execute in this patch. Basically, every time you hit them, you do like 25% health. So basically, as long as you get the crits, because it's 12.5%, but if you get the crits, it's 25%. So as long as you land the crits on Nejal, it's basically an instant kill if it doesn't get beads. But obviously, there is still the counter of beads and things like that. So I will leave him in S+ for now. He's not quite an instant win character, because even if you don't get your ult beads, you basically kill one person. The characters in the instant win category can easily kill multiple people. Nice, so they gave her charges on her ultimate now. It's kind of a weird mechanic, but basically every 90 seconds you get a charge. So if you're not firing your Neath ults, you can basically charge up and then just like rapid fire Neath ults all over the map. It's kind of a bit ridiculous, so if you play a passive early game and charge up like 4 or 5 Neath shots for the first big Gold Fury fight, you're going to win that automatically. It's very strong, but once again, probably I wouldn't say it's instant win. Nemesis, so instead of just stealing protections, she brings your protections down to 0, so if you ult a tank with Nemesis, they're like paper, and they just immediately die, and obviously Nemesis steals all those protections from you, so yeah, Nemesis gets a lot of protections, she becomes basically invincible if she ults a tank, and that tank becomes like nothing. I would say it's honestly kind of instant win, combined with the shield buff that they gave her, where like it can now absorb infinite damage again. It's a bit ridiculous. Nike, not much change. Nox, they removed from the game because it's a cancer god. Nuwa, they removed from the game because it's a cancer god. Odin is interesting though. Obviously, Odin was a little outclassed by Gilgamesh that they released early in this season. By the time Season 9 rolled around, Odin was just like really in the dumpster because Gilgamesh really just outclassed him in pretty much every way. So they basically added a second stance to Odin that is basically Gilgamesh's current kit. I didn't really agree with this change. It kind of takes away from the identity of Gilgamesh, but the fact that Odin's a stance switcher with some stronger abilities now, I think does bring him up the tier list. Whether or not he's S+ or S is debatable, but having Gilgamesh's kit as like a backup on Odin is actually quite strong. Olaruns, there was a bug where Olarun, like when you ulted it would slow the entire game. So they did remove him from the game. I'm not sure if they're going to add him back like at some point in Season 9, but yeah, you can't really have a bug where Olarun's just ulting and then it slows down for the rest of the game, even when the ult ends. It's a little bit stupid. Osiris, so they did rework Osiris and they made basically all 4 of his abilities just sickles. So basically all you do with Osiris now is just basic attack and spam sickles at people. But the slows do stack on the sickles now. So each sickle slows for 30%. And the sickles will stack and they'll ignore any kind of like diminishing returns or soft caps or anything like that. So if you do hit them with 4 sickles, they're 120% slowed, basically rooted, and you can just beat them down. So he is quite strong with the rework, but he does lack in some options. So I'll leave him in S tier. Pele, not much change. We'll leave her in A tier. She's pretty fair. So Persephone, they still haven't reworked her yet. They said in like Season 8 that they were going to rework her, but the fact that we're already in Season 9 and she still hasn't received the rework is a little questionable. But obviously they have nerfed her into the ground, so we'll probably just leave her in C tier for now. Poseidon, they obviously made the Kraken a lot wider in like mid-Season 8 or so that was a really nice buff for Poseidon. They also made the 3 sort of instant cripple, so you can't like jump out of it like you could before. Sometimes if you were quick, you could jump out of Poseidon's cripple, but the fact that they made the cripple bigger and like much easier to land, and the Kraken's like the size of a lane now, it does make Poseidon a lot stronger. But I still won't say he's completely broken. It's probably like S tier. A lot of these S plus placements can do a lot more than Poseidon can in Season 9. Raijin, so they obviously did the 3 to 5 change that they've been doing with a lot of gods in Season 9. He now has 5 different options for his drums. So he still has the full damage, the taunt, the fear. But then he has also a 4th one, which is a 30% health execute. So if you ever get someone low, your final shot of the ult can basically be that 30% health execute, and you'll nuke someone with Raijin, which is really strong. And then the 5th one is the permanent slow mechanic, which is pretty interesting actually. No other god has this, and they gave it to Raijin instead of like adding it to a new god, which was interesting. But if you use the 5th one, it applies a permanent 2% slow. So basically if you're ulting as Raijin throughout the game and you're just always spamming the 2% slow, by the time you get late game, the enemy mid laner is going to be moving at like 30% speed permanently. It's really strong. I wouldn't say it's quite instant win because you do have to put in a lot of effort to apply that slow multiple times and make sure you're ulting the same target, but it's a little ridiculous the fact that they're permanently slowed for like 60% by the time they get late game. Rama, so they added a 4th really tiny shot that's a 100% health execute to his ultimate. It is strong, but it does take a lot of skill, so I don't think instant win, probably S+. Ra, same thing actually, or like a similar thing. Rattle is still as normal in Season 9, but they did add a small targeter that goes like the same distance out from the end of the initial targeter, but it's like a really, really thin line, and if you do hit anyone with that really thin line, it's a 100% health execute. They seem to be kind of favoring 100% health executes in Season 9. It's getting a bit ridiculous. They're giving them to a lot of old characters, but yeah, it does make Ra a lot stronger. We'll probably leave him in S+. So Rat obviously got his rework reverted like a lot of these characters. He now has his old Acons back with Opal shenanigans, like critting, going crazy, so we'll definitely put him in instant win. Raven, so they released Gilgamesh in like early Season 8 and removed Raven shortly afterwards because they shared too much design space, I guess. So yeah, Raven's gone from the game, we'll leave him in garbage. Scylla, so when you get to max rank on Scylla's 1 now, instead of like hitting sort of like a route in an area around the target, if you hit any target with Scylla's 1, it now immediately roots all 5 enemy gods and does the damage to them. So it's honestly kind of instant win at this point. You can just throw your 1 at minions and it'll hit everyone on the map regardless of where they are for like a ton of damage and root them. It's just super strong, and then obviously Scylla has a lot of good tools elsewhere, really. Serket, so in true honor of the ability being called Last Breath, Serket now executes people when she ults them. As I said, that they're really favoring 100% health executes in Season 9. I don't really know why, but Serket's is probably one of the weaker ones, to be honest, because at least you have to get into melee range, but it's probably easier to hit than like the 4th shot on Rama's ultimate. The 4th shot on Rama is very small, but yeah, it is a 100% health execute, so I won't say it's instant win because it's really just one target, but you can spread it to people. I don't know, like if you just throw someone into their team and then it 100% health executes them, spreads the poison to the rest of the team, you could just wipe an entire team with Serket ult at this point. It probably deserves to be put in instant win, really. Set, so obviously they nerfed Set into the ground. He's complete garbage now. He was strong for a long time. People complained. They nerfed him into the ground. Skadi, same thing. They removed Calder, and like, what do you do really when Calder's gone with Skadi? It's just like she's kind of dead at that point. Sobek, so they remodeled Sobek, but people still didn't really play him that much, so they did give him some buffs in Season 9. Obviously, the pluck now is like it's kind of weird now. Like, when you pluck someone, it's basically like a homing throw towards your fountain. So, no matter where they are on the map, they're going to get thrown immediately into your fountain. They can jump out of the fountain to escape, but they're going to take a lot of damage for it, and then they're going to be in your base, probably get attacked by the Titan. They have to run through Phoenixes and stuff. It makes it really awkward for people. So, as soon as you land a pluck, you can basically guarantee that person is like either dead or out of the fight for a long time. It's very strong, honestly. Sol, so another god they reverted to the release state. I would argue Sol isn't quite instant win. She's very close though, but like a lot of the gods that they buffed in Season 9 up here, like Agni and Khepri and Kumba, they're just a lot stronger than release Sol, really. Sun Wukong, so she got, the Sun Wukong got gender bent in Season 9, if you didn't know. So yeah, Sun Wukong's now a female, but also they gave him this, they gave her the 72 transformations treatment that they gave Erlang Shen, so he has so many different options now. It should probably be an instant win, really. She should probably be an instant win, I should say. Susano, once again, nerfed into the ground. People complain too much, and he's complete garbage now. Sylvanas pull is now homing, which is pretty nice, but like, there's no real reason to pick Sylvanas and try and like pull people with the homing pull when you have Sobek that can just pluck people into his own fountain. It's just a lot stronger. So in comparison to Sobek, really, Sylvanas isn't that strong. Terra, so there was a bug in Season 8 where Terra was like proccing Soul Gem and Animosity like twice on her basic attacks and stuff. It was pretty strong, but instead of fixing that, they actually made it so that it procs twice. So now you're going to proc Animosity 4 times per basic attack. It's very strong, to be honest. Probably S+, I would say. Thanatos, so they finally made Death Scythe and Execute is pretty strong, honestly. It's not 100% health Execute like a lot of the other abilities are, but a lot of the 100% executes really are ultimates, so it makes sense that Death Scythe is only a 50% health execute, but it's still really strong, and it like maintains its relevance towards the late game. You know, if someone ever gets below 50%, you just Death Scythe them and they're gone. It fits with the name very well. Like, you Death Scythe someone, they die. That should be how it is in my opinion, but it does make Thanatos quite strong. The Morrigan, so no changes for the Morrigan, but the fact that she can turn into any of these instant win gods makes her herself instant win, really. Like, if you can, like, if Hebo gets banned or Agni gets banned, Khepri gets banned, you pick Morrigan, you just turn into one of them. It's still really strong. It doesn't work with all of them. Like, for example, Khepri. Khepri is really strong because, like, throughout the course of the game, you can just put a permanent Khepri on your entire team. With Morrigan, it's a little more difficult to do that. It can still be done, but really, with Morrigan, you're lucky to turn to, like, say, Ket or Agni, something like that. Thor, so they made Thor's hammer sort of like a double boomerang, so it goes out and comes back, and then goes out and comes back again, and you can quadruple tap gods with that, and by the time you quadruple tapping people, it basically is an execute on a basic ability. Thing is, it does take some skill. It is guaranteed off of its ult into stun combo, you can quad tap from that, but in terms of like doing it from just a normal stun or something like that, it is quite difficult to quad tap someone, but if you can, it's insane damage, so we'll leave him in S+. Thoth, so once again, 3 to 5 treatment. Thoth Glyph now fires 5 times. You know, it is one is hieroglyphs that fires 5 times now. It's pretty crazy. But like, I wouldn't say it's as strong as anything up here, really. Maybe he could be S+, but I think we'll leave him in S for now. He's probably not quite as strong as some of the picks up here. Tiamat, everyone complaining she got removed from the game. It's kind of a shame. She was only in the game for like maybe 6-7 patches and she got removed. It's pretty sad. Tsukuyomi got reverted to release state and also abuses some of the new items in Season 9 quite a lot. I would say probably S+, though it's arguable. He maybe should even be S. Tia, no real changes. Ula, no real changes other than the homing axe. I mean, the homing axe is nice, to be fair, because if you do hit Ula axe, it's a lot of damage, so maybe like S tier for Ula because of the homing axe. For mana, obviously every basic attack extends the duration of a mana's ultimate by 1 second now, so if you have enough attack speed, you can basically be a permanent mana ult in a team fight, which is really good. Probably worthy of an S+ placement, I would say. Vulcan, they removed the meatball skin, so we're going to have to put him in garbage tier for that. Xbalanque ult, now they made it so, with some new technology that kind of came out throughout the course of Season 8, they made it so that Xbalanque ult basically turns off your opponent's monitors now, and then they have to like turn them back on, so when you Xbalanque ult, it's basically, you can't see anything, so it's going to be very difficult to play around at this point. I would say it's almost instant win. Like, the fact that you can turn off your teammates' monitors, like, it's kind of ridiculous. Xingqian, no real changes. Yamoja, they couldn't balance her, so they removed her from the game. Yumiya, though, is interesting. His walls are permanent now, so basically you can just set up Yumiya walls wherever you think will be necessary. Like, if you want like a safe laning phase for your ADC, you can just wall off all the jungle entrances on dual lane. Obviously, it has counters. You can jump over the walls and things like that. Or portal through, so like, if it just means the jungler has to use their jump to get over a permanent Yumiya wall to gank your ADC, and then they don't have the jump to continue chasing and things like that. It does make it a lot more difficult. Like, Yumiya can really sort of build the map how he wants to build the map, and it is pretty strong. Zeus, still garbage as usual, and then Zhonghui, they did make it so his ult lasts longer for each tick. They've been sort of experimenting with that on a lot of different gods, like Ramana I mentioned earlier, but it doesn't really make him that strong. I'd say it's probably S placement here. But yeah, that's your full Season 9 tier list. Obviously, so many changes this season. They've made some ridiculous buffs. A lot of these instant win characters weren't that good before the start of Season 9, but some of the changes they made, like 5 Agni Bombs, Release Bellona, Infinite Khepri ults, Kumbhakana banishing forever if you don't kill them, although that is a bug. They will be fixing that. A little bit ridiculous, obviously. They removed some gods from the game throughout Season 8, as you all probably know by now, if you've been keeping up with the Season 8 news and stuff, but with the release of Season 9, this is going to be somewhat ridiculous. I've played some of this stuff on the PTS. It's really dumb. But yeah, hopefully by the time they release the season, they'll maybe fix some of these issues. But yeah, that was my Season 9 tier list. Obviously, this is just my opinion. I'm sure some of you think that like 5 Agni Bombs wouldn't make him that strong, or like Scylla root hitting from anywhere wouldn't make her that strong. But I personally think I'm pretty spot on with a lot of these instant win characters. And yeah, subscribe for more tier lists in the future, and I will catch you guys later. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.